Guys, today's episode is about dyslexia and organisation. Now here I say loads of tips, loads of strategies that can help you be more organised in your life, because I know being organised for dyslexics is not easy. I talk about why and all these great stuff. But guys, if you find today's episode valuable, or if you think other people could use this podcast for good, please share this to them. Please subscribe. Please get it out so this can reach people who need it. Anyway, guys, I hope you enjoyed today's episode. So the big question is this: how can dyslexics like us create a place, a community, a tribe where people at any stage of life can come and solve any challenge, amplify their strengths, and ultimately help them become who they were meant to be? Or in other words, conquer their dyslexia. That is the question, and this show is the answer. My name's Theo Goff, and welcome to the Conquering Dyslexia podcast. Right, guys, I hope we're doing good and alright. Today, I want to talk about dyslexia and organisation, and how it is so hard oftentimes to be organised and to be structured like everyone else. They can get on things on time, they can remember the laundry, they can remember this, they can remember the shopping when they get shopping, they can remember all these things just by going out their life. And yet dyslexics, we find it so hard to remember to keep our keys in our pocket when we go to work and not lose them when we come back home. And I want to talk a bit about kind of why that is in a certain sense, and maybe a few things that we can do in our lives to help us improve that. Now, I want to first sort of mention that organisation. For me, I have lost so many phones, I have lost so many wallets, I have lost so many, Barclays cards, loads and loads and loads and loads of them. And like, it's really, really common for me to get in my car and look in my bag for 20 minutes, not 20 minutes, but even 5 minutes, and going back inside and find something. And being really worried, like I always go like, sometimes I'm like, I lose my phone in the middle of class or whatever, and I'm looking for it, and they go, oh, what are you looking for? I'm like, I'm looking for my phone. They go, oh no, and they get really worried. I go, calm down, this is a normal occurrence, this is to be expected. It's not you, I'm not worried about it. It will turn up. If it doesn't turn up, I've had that before. But losing things has been very, very, very common for me, and I know the advice that people say all of the time, put it in always the same place. Well, guess what, Sarah? Guess what, Mum? It's not always that easy with everything. It's not always that easy to keep my keys in the exact same place in my pocket or whatever. Well, it's easy to put them in the same place when you're in your house, but when you're going about doing things, sometimes things that I haven't been able to keep things in the same place when I'm traveling, when I'm moving, when I'm going to work. But in my house, I have developed a ways. Okay, this thing goes here, this thing goes here, this thing goes there, and it's been very, very, very helpful. Very helpful. And I want to say one thing that's really, really helped me. Obviously, dyslexic, and my sense of direction is really, really awful. Remembering people's names, remembering what I have to bring, remember this, remembering that, doing all these things is hard. I don't remember the only birthday. That's not true. I remember my mum. I learnt my mum. No, I didn't. Basically, I've learnt my mum and dad's birthday. I can't remember what way round they are, but my mum's on the 1st and my dad's on the 2nd of January, start of the year. So that's quite easy to remember. I've learned that Christmas is on the 25th. I learned that really recently. My memory's getting better. But previously, could only remember my birthday. No other birthday on the planet, unless it's on my calendar and it sees it. But all these dates, all these things, have no no real knowledge of. And living like this, going through life like this, not being able to remember all these different things, has been quite, to be honest, freeing in a sense. Because if you think about it, just take life as it comes. Take life as it comes. Don't try to remember or keep everything laid down. But if you know, okay, your birthday is important, I'm putting it in your calendar 8 months from now. And these sort of little things can really help, because once you know yourself, knowing, okay, I won't remember that. And now here's the thing. you're not stupid for not remembering. You're not stupid for not being organised. You're not lazy because your room's a tip. You're not, disorganised because of this. You're not that. It's not that because other people would see your home, see your house, see, that you forget everything. See that, thinking how unorganised, how unstructured, how this, how that person is. But the fact is they're completely wrong. You don't have to have everything in neat, perfect condition for things to be in order. For example, I'm going to tilt the camera. Okay, this is my little working space. Is that tidy? No, and I got some stuff there. No, it's not tidy at all. And this is what. And sometimes I gotta get less tidy. It doesn't last like that. It doesn't stay tidy the whole time. But people would look at this thinking that's not a tidy desk. That person's not organised. But yeah, if you look at my actual plan. If you look at sort of like what I have in my little PowerPoint thing, I'll show the camera. So I don't know if you can see this, but basically here's my little plans, week 2. This is what I'm doing today. Here's my little plan for today. And then in my little notebook, I write exactly what I'm going to do for today. And then basically I write, okay, this is what I'm going to do for the whole day. And I'll come back from work and I write the whole thing again for the evening. There's only a few plans, but it helps me get focused. It helps me organise myself. And so because I've done those actions that 99% of the population doesn't do, I can be I'm so laser focused. That's the terminology. I want to be laser focused on what I'm doing. But that's how I'm structuring it. That's how I'm putting a load of time, effort and energy around organising my life so I know exactly what I'm doing when I'm doing it. Not what I'm doing a week from now, but okay, like for example, here's the structure of my week. Here's the structure of my day. I don't want to know my structure of my week before I go into the week. I want to know the structure of the day before I go into that day. And learning these key basic planning principles was critically important for me to be able to be efficient at what I'm doing. I'm doing a lot. I'm going to work. I'm doing a TEFL, apparently it's a 110-20 hour course over 4 weeks, but it's not 120 hours. But I'm doing a TEFL course and I'm doing these little business things. I call these business things. I like talking about my dyslexia. My goal is to make this dyslexia I'm talking about helping people to grow it. So I'm doing a lot of stuff, but the only reason I can do that is because I'm planning. Because I'm really, really obsessed with focusing. Okay, here's what I want to get done, and here's my time. How can I fit in? How can I do this thing? Now, here's the thing. I don't go on, okay, how can I fit this in? And let's go, oh, I'm going to do all these things here and here and here, and you break down all the small actions, and you do this action here, this action here, do this action here. I do not break down my small actions, and it's not completely random. It's not like, okay, I want to do all this stuff today, and do all this stuff tomorrow. I'm going to do 3 podcasts today, and I'm going to do this thing, and then I'm going to do a lot of my TEFL course, and after that I'm going to do work on this book or doing all these different things. I don't think like that. You think in chunks. You think in big blocks of chunks. Because once you do, in terms of your planning, now I'm getting into planning here, but you break things down in chunks. Okay, this is a chunk of, okay, I'm going to get home and everything's routine. Okay, I get home at 4 p.m. I do a chunk of doing this podcast and maybe some social media stuff or whatever. And then, okay, that's a chunk. Then I can have to another chunk, which is something to do maybe with the English course or something else that I'm doing. That's a chunk. I want to chunk things down and break things down and chunking things down. But the biggest key I can take away from this is that have certain musts in your time. Do not, I repeat, do not say, okay, I'm going to get this done and I'm going to get, for example, I'm going to do this today. And you don't know when you want to get it done by. Okay, I'm going to do this today and you've got 5 things you want to get done. That doesn't really matter to you what one you do first. You haven't got time, you have to finish. Because then this is for me, and if it doesn't work for you, obviously it's not good. But I say, okay, I have to finish at 9 p.m. because then I want to go to bed. And I've got all these things I'm going to do before 9 p.m. And if I don't get them done, guess what? I'm going to leave them on to the next day. And I don't like leaving things on to the next day. So I'm going to work really hard to get those things done. But if I say, oh, I'm going to keep working until I finish it, I will be on social media. I will be not focusing because I can get done in 2 minutes. 2 minutes becomes 10 times, becomes 20 times, becomes an hour, becomes never that day. Okay? So once I have a deadline of when I'm going to have to stop, And everything has to be set routine. A set routine. I'm going to get up this time, I'm going to do this, I'm going to do that. Because that leads me on to my second point when it comes to being organised. Dyslexics find it hard to be organised. Why do they find it hard to be organised? Because their working memory isn't as high as other people's. Their ability to sort of like hold in information is very, very, very low. That's why I can't remember dates, names, blah, 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 blah. But because my working memory is low, you have to become so good at planning. Now, a little bit of backstory. I remember being introduced into that planning and the whole thing and like getting some courses on it or whatever, because I think, look, this is how important planning is. If I had to ask you a question, what is the most valuable resource you have in your life? The most valuable thing you have in your life? You could say, oh, it's my family, it's my friends, it's money, it's this or it's that. Well, I have to tell you, well, the answer is really time. Time is the most valuable thing you have. Why? You can't get it back. You have a set amount of time. Depending on how on the certain factors, but you don't know how much time you have. But one thing you know for sure, you can't get it back. And the only way you can proper maximize your time is by planning it. By the way, the only thing more valuable time is energy. Because energy, health, energy, vitality, if you don't have that, if you can't be able to have a good amount of energy, you won't be able to use the time. You'll be ill, you'll be sick, you'll be have lacking energy. You won't be able to use the time that you have. So this is the way I look at it. Like, most valuable thing is energy. Second thing is time. Okay, time is so valuable. And us dyslexics, we're very bad at managing time if we let it go to the wind. So you have to look down on the time. Okay, this time is so valuable. I want to make the most out of this. Why? Because I believe we've only got one life and we want to do something with it meaningful. So let's clock down on this time and let's plan it. It's important. And the way you really do this, you don't start the year without having some goals. You don't start the month without having a plan for the month. You don't start the week without having a plan for the week. You don't start the day without having a plan for the day. Now, that may seem overwhelming for people to start planning. Here's my thing. I used to get obsessed with planning. I used to plan a couple hours each day just for that day. It's too much. Obviously, it's too much. So you have to have a set thing that works for you. But listen, plan the week. Like, here's a couple plans that I have really. I have like a big yearly plan. That's kind of a broad structure. Obviously, there's goals that I want. That's kind of a broad structure because things change a lot during the way, on the journey. That's kind of like a broad structure of what I want. Here's my goals. Here's my targets. What I want to hit. But then there's kind of like the term plan, or I could use a month plan. It could be 1 month, 2 months. But I normally write it down. Okay, here's the 6-week plan, and I know at the end of that 6 weeks something happens. If it's school, maybe there's a holiday. But right now I'm traveling, so I got like 4 weeks left till I travel. So there's like a 5-week plan. I'm on week 2 of that 5 weeks. So I kind of know when it's going to be off. And so that's kind of like my goal. Okay, I must get these outcomes done. Then my week plan. Okay, what am I going to do this week? And then my day plan. And that really helps me organize things. And I do it on PowerPoint, and I do it every Sunday. I plan out the week. I plan, okay, here's my routines. Here's what time I'm going to get up. Here's the things that I'm going to do. Now, by the way, I'm obsessed with planning, as you can probably tell, because I know how valuable time is. I know if I don't plan it in, and if I just feel like doing it or whatever, it won't get done. It won't. So doing this helps you maximize my time so important. But I have a system and routine. Here's the thing. I will need you to get your own system and routine. Realize the most valuable thing you have is time. And realize, look, you're dyslexic, you can't hold a lot of things in your head. You have to write so many things down. And it's hard to write things down because you're dyslexic. Planning. You have to get really good at your own routine of planning. Here's the best way. You have to understand that when you're making plans, sort of like, okay, when you make it, have an outcome focus. That's what I do. Okay, what's my outcome? What's my goal here? Okay, my outcome is this. Why? Like, I personally do why, because why motivates me a lot. Why do I want to lose weight? Why do I want to be good at my job? And now here's the thing. I don't say, for example, we think, oh, I have to. I can talk about this for ages, but we're going to think, oh, I have to do these things. I have to do these things at work. I have to do these things at school. I have to do these things for my family. You don't have to do those things. You get to do these things, because the way we use language massively dictates our feelings. Our emotions, our feelings are one of the most powerful forces in our life. And there's 3 things that creates our feelings. There's the way we move our body. There's the language we use, and then there's the language. Oh, what am I doing? So there's language we use to talk about things and our focus. So our focus, our body, and the language we use. For example, we can focus on why things aren't fair, but use do you mean correct language and saying, well, you mean correct language and saying, well, this, like saying that this person misunderstood me, rather than saying this person is lying, this person is being deceitful. The language we use dictates how I feel. And if we say, I have to do this, I have to do that, even if things are not exciting, just change your language saying, I get to this, I want to do this. And a good way of doing that is making your goal exciting. For example, I'm actually getting more and more competitive. I think it's a really good thing. But like when I wanted to be a personal trainer, you mean I'm working in schools, whatever, I want to be the best person I can. I want to beat everyone else. That's personally, but like being the best person you can. I want to be the best this I can. I want to be the most best person I can. Oftentimes you don't meet the goal, but having that vision, having an idea, okay, I'm going to really raise the bar for that. That's my goal, that's my outcome. Why is that important? Because it makes you grow as a person, whatever, link it to your needs, and then some action items. The action items are the actual things you need to do. So write that down, review it, know when you're going to do it, and keep doing that. And so guys, I really wanted to talk about this. I want to do a little series talking about everything important about dyslexia. For example, and what people want to know about organisation, people want to know about self-esteem, people want to know about, and all these sort of things. I made a little list. And I want to do a couple of these episodes really talking about them, really saying, okay, yes, here's how it affects my life, here's the things I do, and here's the things that I know other people do that helps them in their own journey. So maybe you can apply it in your life, or you can just see, okay, this is what this person's doing. When this challenge comes up, this is what I use to overcome it. But anyway, guys, hope you enjoyed today's episode, guys. See you all again soon.